All right, folks, this is a very easy recipe. So watermelon, I'm using half of one, agar powder. Now, with agar, for every cup of watermelon juice, you want half a teaspoon of agar powder. For the decoration, I'm using here boba, or basically what's used to make bubble tea. Black tapioca pearls, you can find this in any Asian market. This is completely unnecessary, this is just me being fancy. Now, if you've got an ice cream scoop, just use that. I don't at the moment, so I'm just gonna use a big spoon. This doesn't have to be neat, it's going in a blender. So once you've done that, just make sure you've got this as clean as possible, and just keep it in the fridge. Next step, we're just going to blend this up until we've basically blended everything in. Now we're just going to filter out whatever's left and just repeat. So I've just put that through another strainer now. The way that agar works, it prefers thin liquid. So the thicker something is, the more creamy kind of texture the jelly is. So you want this to be as watery as possible, as you can see. One second, let me just move my hand out of the way. Can you see, that's the texture you want. You want it to be really watery. Now, this watermelon mousse that you've got left behind makes excellent baby food. He's gonna love this, my little boy. So now the next part, you have to be very precise, because it's a science. So I've got here my measurements. I wanna see how many cups I get out of this, so that I know how much agar to put in. That should be just fine. Now, you want to let the agar sit and get acquainted basically with whatever the product you're putting it in for about 10-15 minutes before you start boiling it.
Meanwhile,
now once the water's boiling, I'm just going to drop in my little bubble tea balls. Now what's going to happen is they're going to start to inflate and they're going to go black. What that's going to do, this is just a little trick, they're going to replace, basically I'm going to cut them up and they're going to replace the watermelon seeds. It's just literally just for the photos. Doesn't really add anything or do anything. You don't even have to do this, just to make it look pretty if you're having a party or you want to impress someone. Now just after 2 minutes you'll see they already start floating to the top and you can see they're starting to expand. Going to give them about 5 minutes till they go proper black and chewy. Okay, so 5 minutes have passed, these are done. As you can see, they're nice and dark. Next, we boil the watermelon. For the agar to work, this needs to reach boiling point. So once you can see that it starts proper bubbling up, then we're all good. At this point, you might want to give it a taste to see if it's sweet enough. You can add a sweetener of choice, even sugar, it doesn't matter. You don't need to add a lot because watermelon's quite sweet naturally on its own. But if it's sweet enough, then that's all good. So you can see with our black tapioca pearls now, what I basically did, I drained them and I just gave them a quick rinse and they're sitting in cold water. You can see they've turned completely black now and they're sinking to the bottom. They're no longer floating, so that's good. Now while that's simmering, you just want to make sure you're continuously stirring it because you don't want the agar to stick to the bottom. You want it to be all around. Probably if I lift the scoop up now, you'll see, there you go, you can see it's already starting to gel at the bottom. I just want this all over. Just until it gets to boiling point, then we're going to transfer it to the watermelon. Okay, now you can see it's starting to boil up. I'm going to turn the heat off. You need to keep a close eye on it. All right, that's settled down now. Let's transfer it to the watermelon. So I'm just going to let that rest a bit just until the steam's gone and then I'm going to pop that in the fridge for a few hours. I just want to make sure this has got a nice gel texture on the top. If you can, try and get rid of some of that scummy layer on the top. Look at the colour, how dark that is. I want this to have a nice clear finish. Now just while that's chilling, I'm going to move that to the side very, very carefully. We're going to start working on our watermelon seeds. Just going to do one for the camera and then the rest I won't. What's going to happen is once I've sliced this, I'm going to pop it back into the water and just let them sit. It's fine. You'll see they're fairly hard to work with. Again, this is completely unnecessary. It's just to make it look pretty for the camera. And that's it. So they don't need to be precise. They're going to be small anyway. Like that size is fine, as you can see. Doesn't need to be bigger than that. Just a tip, wet the board a little bit and wet the knife. Don't try to get this perfect, you simply won't succeed. It's very, very, very hard to work with. But if you chop them fine enough, you'll find in the end you'll have enough bits to work with. Just refrigerate that and once the jelly's ready, you'll see what we'll do. Okay, so a few hours have passed after that was refrigerated. You can see the texture's fairly firm. But I do need to show you one thing because it took me several attempts. So you'll notice a lot of recipes online, they'll tell you that the ratio per cup is 2 teaspoons of agar powder per 1 cup of liquid. What's going to happen if you do that? You're going to end up with these bricks and they become very, very, as you can see, it's really a struggle to even break this apart. It comes out like a terrine and it's really, really not nice. So don't do that. Now, For effect, I've added a couple of drops of red dye, literally just a few, because I wanted the color for the photos, but you don't have to do that. If you don't add the dye, it's gonna come out this color, but obviously a better texture. So what we want, for every cup, half a teaspoon of agar powder, just under even's fine. The texture is much better than we've got with that stiff brick over there. I'm just gonna make that nice and neat. Then I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with those little fake seeds. So to get the seeds in, they're very sticky and hard to work with. So I'm just gonna do some little slits in there. I'll take one of these. And I'm gonna try and get it to fit in. There you go. So I'm gonna do that all around, and then I'll plate it up and make it look pretty. Okay, so that's that. Looks nice, looks lovely. What I'm gonna do is just plate it up now and make it nice and decorated. Alrighty, so here we have it, folks. Watermelon jelly. Very, very nice. Very easy to make as well. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, as always, if you enjoy vegan food, vegetarian, plant-based, or no animals or animal products on my channel, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and have a good and see you on the next one.